Teachers, are your students constantly at different points in a lesson or project? Are you tired of reteaching the exact same things? Are you frustrated with students asking, what do I do next? If you're like me and you regularly teach classes with long-term projects, you inevitably find that students are constantly at different points in the project. The tech class I teach is almost entirely project-based. Each project takes approximately 2 to 3 weeks to complete and includes multiple steps, both in terms of preparation and research and the technology itself. It is nearly impossible to ensure that all students are at the same place at the same time throughout these projects. While we always want to encourage our students to explore and research on their own, there are some concepts that require direct instruction. For me, this comes in the form of technology skills and procedures. I found that I was constantly teaching and reteaching how to embed videos into a website, for example, to groups of students when they were ready for that step. I knew I needed to make more effective use of instructional time. Rather than teaching straightforward procedural tasks, I wanted to spend class time problem solving and collaborating. Then I found a solution. With all of the latest talk of the flipped classroom, I thought I could implement a variation of it to solve my problem. My plan would utilize screencasting as a technology, demonstration as the pedagogy, and various specific technology procedures as the content. While there isn't much formal research on this new teaching strategy, plenty of teachers around the globe are trying it out. They are finding many benefits, such as increased time for group work, hands-on learning, and problem solving in class. Plus, teachers are freed up to coach students, guide the learning process, and even provide better accommodations for individual students. I would implement a variation of this model by creating instructional screencast videos to teach the procedural technology skills and post them online for students to view. As I thought more about this project, I realized that what I wanted to do really borrowed from another relatively new instructional strategy, blended learning. While there are many different definitions and ways to implement this structure, ideally the blended approach combines the best qualities of online and face-to-face learning. The North American Council for Online Learning says, in general terms, blended learning combines online delivery of educational content with the best features of classroom interaction and live instruction to personalize learning, allow thoughtful reflection, and differentiate instruction from student to student across a diverse group of learners. Like the flipped classroom model, blended learning can help increase interaction between students and the teacher as well as students and students. Although I believe a true blended learning environment utilizes various forms of internet media, I personally find many intersections between the two approaches and my project. To demonstrate an understanding of the technological pedagogical knowledge, I had to explore the various tools available for screencasting and evaluate their effectiveness as teaching tools. I was seeking a technology tool that would allow students to view demonstrations of technology processes that they would then replicate throughout their projects. By taking my knowledge from research of the flipped classroom and blended learning to support my design to use technology, I was able to quickly decide that screencasting would meet my pedagogical goals. After some experimentation, I decided that Screencast-O-Matic was the technology tool that would best meet my pedagogical goals. I felt that because Screencast-O-Matic highlights the mouse pointer as the video records, it would be most beneficial for my students as they tried to follow along with the video. In addition, Screencast-O-Matic met my criteria in terms of output and sharing. Essentially, using the technology would increase my time in class to guide students as they created and problem solved, as well as make me available to work with students with more needs. In the past, I have given students paper handouts with written instructions and screenshots that were highly unsuccessful. Because they are not engaging, students rarely read all of the text, resulting in no change in the amount of class time spent on procedural questions. As I reflected on this, I knew that I would have to make the videos short and specific in order to engage the students. The content I chose to teach is quite suitable for this type of standard video instruction. Critics of the flipped classroom argue that it does not encourage a varied approach to instruction that meets the needs of all learners. Because I chose to use concrete methodical procedures as my content, I believe the screencasts were quite suitable. In video form, the step-by-step content I wanted to teach was more accessible to students. They could view the videos from any location with internet and could pause and replay the videos for review. Furthermore, because I created videos that I could narrate, I was able to tailor the videos to my class specifically. For example, one of the videos was entirely about how to share the Prezi with me so it could be graded. Pedagogical content knowledge includes knowing what teaching approaches fit the content. While I encourage students to be independent, resourceful learners when it comes to the actual technology tool they are working with, There are some processes and procedures that are complex, long, and require direct instruction. In the past, I have tried various reteaching strategies, which all seemed ineffective due to irrelevance to the student or my inability to circulate the room. Experiencing and reflecting on past pedagogical strategies with this type of structured content has helped me come to the conclusion that instructional videos could be the best pedagogical strategy. Initially, I thought I was implementing a version of the flipped classroom, but now I think the term blended learning also accurately describes the project. In blended learning, students engage with content both online and in person. I wanted my students to interact with the structured content online while engaging in the deeper work with the content in class. I chose the picture you see here to emphasize that the content in technology class really allows for collaboration among students in class on various levels, even if it is just troubleshooting and problem solving. The videos present the technology content in a concrete structured format that students can follow step by step. As stated previously, this also allows students to experience the lesson at a slower pace by pausing and skipping ahead and viewing only the parts they need. Students can also repeat as necessary. Furthermore, the lesson becomes more applicable to the student, resulting in increased learning because students will be viewing the video at a time when it is meaningful to them. I decided to implement the instructional video approach during our presentation design unit. In this unit, the main objectives are to teach the elements of effective design and also effective presentation. In the past, I'd spent so much time on teaching the actual technology tools that we didn't spend a lot of time on analyzing design and discussing audience. I created 3 instructional videos based on the areas I knew students struggled in the past: setting a path in Prezi, inserting a picture from Prezi, and submitting the Prezi to be graded. The first 2 are obviously more general than the third, which is specifically related to our class. After some experimentation with screencasting tools, I chose to use Screencast-O-Matic to create the screencast that I narrated over. I'd initially planned on using Jing to capture my videos, but after seeing a Screencast-O-Matic tutorial, I thought the highlighted mouse pointer, as I discussed earlier, would be helpful for my students. Then I uploaded the screencast to Screencast-O-Matic and linked the online videos to my class website. There, students can access the videos at any time, in or out of class. Besides changing my screencasting tool, I really did not encounter any other bumps in the road. I was quite pleased with the appropriateness of Screencast-O-Matic, especially as I finalized each video. The tool offers a variety of options for sharing, and I was able to simply link the hosted tutorials to my class website. I appreciated that I could also save a video file of the screencast to my computer. That way, I'll have access to it for future changes or editing. As a teacher, this project was simple to implement and lended itself to many rewards. It took me a little time to record the screencasts and link them to my class website. While students rarely view the videos at home, almost all of them utilize them in class. I was able in this unit to spend more time discussing the elements of design than before, which is really our unit objective. Because I was able to spend less time teaching Prezi, we spent almost an entire class period analyzing sample Prezi presentations and talking about the effectiveness of the presentations with the intended audience, which was a meaningful experience for my students. I have already assessed many of the submitted presentations, and I feel that the students took time to plan out and style their products more than they have in the past. Because we spent more time in class discussing design, the focus shifted from researching their topics to creating a pleasing design. In addition, the fact that I created the videos seemed appealing to the students. I am sure that I could have found videos already made for the topics focused on Prezi, but I found it very helpful to be able to add anecdotes to the video that related specifically to our class requirements or discussions. I also surveyed and informally observed my students in class. Because I used paper handouts to explain some of the procedures, these handouts were still available for students to use in class. I gave them a choice between the handouts and the videos, which I probably will still do in the future to meet the various learning styles. I noticed, however, that almost everybody referred to the videos. When I had my students fill out a quick Google Forms survey, 52 of 55 said they preferred the video instruction, as you can see on this chart. The accessibility of the videos also proved to be beneficial when students participated in the homework assistance program in our library each morning before school starts. If students need to finish work, they can do so without punishment in this program. The teachers in charge of the program told me they saw students watching the videos and were impressed by the independence of the students. Clearly, having lessons and information online for students makes it available to them wherever they are. After completing this project, sharing with you the background knowledge, TPAC knowledge, and my implementation, I now want to share some logistics and final thoughts so that you too can implement something like this. Technically speaking, it is important for you to determine how your students will access the videos. You must also decide what content you want to teach and how you will teach it. I find that it is best, especially with K through 6 students, to keep the videos short and specific. If you choose to create screencasts like me, research screencasting tools like Jang, Screencast-O-Matic, and QuickTime to decide which one best suits your needs. In addition, although it may seem silly, it is quite helpful to have a script of some sort. If you want to avoid editing in a video program, your screencast needs to be close to perfect. You don't want to have to re-record the entire thing just because you are unprepared. Finally, I want to share with you a concluding research-based thought. Being that this was my first round with these instructional videos, I chose to upload them to my existing class website. The North American Council for Online Learning suggests, however, that a learning management system would create a setting that is organized and facilitates communication. As I look to the future, I will certainly continue to create instructional videos for my technology class. I also most definitely want to collaborate with classroom teachers to implement truer flipped classrooms and/or blended learning environments that may include these learning management systems. I leave you with the quote on your screen from a teacher who implemented a flipped classroom. I hope that this inspires you.